Okay, so today we're going to be talking to Janelle, and she has personal insight into the Lori Vallow saga that is ongoing. Personal insight because she personally knows Lori, number one, certainly knows her husband Chad, and she just recently went to 2 days of the trial, and we're going to hear all the insights of what she learned. So go ahead, Janelle.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for having me back. I appreciate it. I give a shout out to your A Life Without Parole video because you were the first one that put me on here on the interview. So I appreciate that very much. It was very interesting going to the trial. I think a lot of the trial for me was healing for me. As you know, I wrote my book. Called Walking Through the Doomsday Darkness as I've Seen It. And because I knew them, the book was my therapy. And so for me to have closure was to go to this trial. So being able to know everybody, but not be around Lori too much, and even though I was Melanie's friend, um, was kind of hard for me. So for this, it was very healing for me. So as the first day that I was there, um, I was standing there and she looked at me and she looked as if she kind of knew me, but then looked away. And I was standing next to a lady and I said, I'm okay now. So for some reason, that was probably part of my closure or my healing. Um, it was very interesting. There's a lot of people there, a lot of people that are interested in this case. But I really am, when I went there, I was really hoping that they could convey everything that they needed to. And I think Trina did a great job at bringing out on the very end all of the texts and everything from Chad between her and them. I just hope that the jurors can get through this because it's kind of just like myself. You kind of go through a process, but not really know what's going on behind the background. And so that's what they're going to get when they find out um, what has all been done, when they start looking into this case and see that there were murders and all different things, it's going to blow them away. And so, really, they're not realizing how pivotal this moment is in this trial for them
I, I
because,
I've been thinking about the jurors all along because we have such an overview of all the things that have happened, and they just really don't. They have very minimal information. Even when
yeah,
different things are being said during the trial, I'm like, oh, they don't know all the background and all the things that you and I actually during the trial through some of the testimony, it just kept on going through my brain all the parts where you linked up, and especially like that when I don't know there were just different parts where you were part of the saga, so to speak. Do you want to tell a
oh
little bit
God.
about that?
Yes, I think it's just really hard to um, know all these people, but really being a part of it and yet not a part of it. In my book, I call it the evil inner circle because that's really what it is an evil inner circle. And
And I
so
have to
it
give a
was,
shout out to your book. Your book is fabulous. Do you have a copy of?
oh,
I'll put a copy up here later
okay, sounds good. Thank you.
so people can see really a lot of insight into some of the things that really have not been brought out in trial and have not been on any other news
Yeah,
documentation. So go ahead, keep
actually,
going.
it is actually from being LDS background, it's from an LDS perspective, I feel. And so there's a lot of things that Lori had made up in her trial, and there's a lot of things that are explained and deliberated on. There's a lot of things as I was writing this book that came to me in different ways. And so um, I think it really sheds some light and some explanation on some of the trial or the things that I've seen, and that's why I've called it as I've seen it. Because if you're reading the scriptures and you know about the scriptures, you can totally see that this literally was a heinous manipulation. And it's as clear as the nose on your face.
Yeah.
So just knowing that and then seeing part of the trial, it like I said, was very healing for me. But I do hope the jurors pick up, especially if they're talking about Tylee or JJ,
Mhm.
if they hear any was or any little keywords like that, that they really have questions and they really look to dissect this case and look into it a little bit more than what they are. There was some of them that when I looked at the jurors, some of them were really intent. Some of them were kind of lax. One was putting his head back. And when he put his head back, I'm thinking, you really need to be taking this seriously. It
I
just by
was
his body language.
Yeah, I was talking to my brother the other day, and he was telling me this statistic. I'll have to look it up, but basically, people's attention spans are minimal at best. Even if you're trying your hardest to pay attention, you can only your brain just goes off. It's just natural.
Yes.
There's so many details that took so long to get to, and that's just the way it has to play out in court. But it's very hard to keep your brain focused on what's being said. And I just hope that the important points weren't slipped, they weren't missed.
Yeah. I hope so too. And I think though that like yesterday, Trina, from what I recognized, I wasn't there yesterday in court, but I was listening to it, that Trina really packed the punch, I think,
Mm-hmm.
with painting the picture that uh, all of the text messages that came out, and actually it was quite interesting that at the very first when she was questioning Nancy Joe, that she was like, so, do you make it a habit to marry, date married men?
Oh, I just, that was
And then I thought,
killing
oh
me,
my goodness,
killing me. The whole time
this
when
is
she was
gonna,
questioning her, first of all, the way she was attacking her, but then as the testimony comes out that Lori was the one having a full-on affair, not just
yes,
not just a date, but a
yeah,
full-on affair, and yet she's, you know, going after her. I think two things came out from that interview. One, her, like smacking her for having an affair with her husband, but also that she acted as if she didn't have this whole time. She said, I just don't have emotion. I mean, that's just the way I am. Oh, look, my husband was killed. Hi, neighbor. That video.
yes,
I was like,
nonchalant.
and then,
How long have you lived here?
Like 3 weeks.
Oh, geez. Yeah, okay.
That's why the neighbors don't know us.
Gotcha.
Like, hi neighbor, sorry.
I was like,
Nonchalant.
and the juries only saw that for 1 second. I would love for them to see it over and over, like the rest of us have, to really.
Yes,
But the fact that she's acting as if that's just the way she is under any circumstance, and yet when she was cross-examining, she was not nonchalant.
yeah.
She,
Exactly.
so where was
Exactly. And
that
and
personality?
she's like, was everybody calm? Was Alex calm? Was
Yeah,
I calm? Was
yeah,
Tylee calm? That does not mean anything. It just means that you were kind of out of alignment with how you should have acted when a loved one died. And the fact that Trina brought up that Alex came out with his sunglasses on his head,
oh yeah, yeah.
and
He said it
also
was
that,
CPR, right?
yeah, and that Lori had all these burner phones and never once called 911.
Yeah, not
And
the
I
way.
really hope that the jurors take note on this.
Yeah,
I think there's some important things that Trina was saving the best for last. And I think
oh
the
yeah,
fireworks came out,
oh
and
yeah,
I think it exposed her for who she is
yeah,
and what she's done. And I just hope that the jurors will see that,
yeah,
and that there's no question. But them not asking a lot of questions, I'm hoping that that's a good sign, that it's pretty clear,
Yeah.
but it's pretty clear to us, but it's not clear to them yet because they don't know anything about it. But I'm hoping and praying that they make the right decision
Yeah.
so that justice can be served for Charles.
What was your gut feeling with the jurors themselves?
Um, I felt like some maybe are a little laxed on things, but I think I'm hoping they'll make the right decision. I'm really hoping that they see the little nuggets and are able to put the pieces together
Did it
on
seem
that.
they were falling for Lori's flirtatious type personality?
I don't think they did. I
Okay.
really don't.
That's the one thing that I've been wondering all along. Like when she's all flirty with Keith Morrison, at least in the
Yeah.
interview, he's smiling and, like he's trying to get stuff out of her. So he's doing what he needs to do to get that interview. But I'm curious if the jurors are doing that or if they're just like, come on now.
Yeah. I don't see them. I didn't see that flirtatiousness with them when I was there.
Okay.
She was more trying to focus on like roasting all the people that she
Yeah.
and I think at this point she didn't care about defending herself. The
No.
thing that she cared about was her own self-gratification.
And
And
it's,
that was harassing the witnesses up there like Serena
yeah.
and just trying to ask questions to find out what was going on.
Now, did you
Because
know Serena?
I didn't know Serena,
Okay.
but I think I've seen how she was asking all these things, like, and especially with Adam, I thought like
Oh,
her green chili enchilada thing was just over the top.
I was dying over that. You were there during Adam's testimony?
I didn't see that
Yeah.
one.
But I
No, but
agree. That was insane. She's trying to glorify herself, which is what she does. I mean, we see
yes,
it over and over again. She glorifies
yeah.
herself however she can. And I wonder if that is something that the jurors will pick up on. How do you miss that?
Well, see, she even glorified herself saying that she had a $2 million life insurance
Oh, she just
policy
keeps on that one. She just keeps.
because she always prides herself in how she looks. And
Mm,
the thing is, I've been a life insurance agent before.
yeah.
And so when you are qualifying for $2 million, that means you're good and in physical condition, physically fit. And I think she prided herself even over Charles because Charles had a $1 million policy, but she had $2 million.
Okay, so
So
speaking of the
she,
the physical aspect, this is something I really
yes,
wanted to talk to you about. I was thinking of if I was just seeing what I saw, I'm going to come around to the physical aspect. You'll see. Seeing what you see from a juror's perspective, you don't know a lot of things that we know, but I still would sit there and think, okay, as the story's being told about what happened when Charles was shot, Kylie comes out with a bat to defend her. Where was the motherly instinct to protect her daughter? Never does she say anything about her going, that she's claiming that Kylie got thrown to the ground by Charles. If I'm a mother and I see my husband throwing my daughter to the ground, I'm not going around the corner looking at his phone to see if there's any more text messages from a date.
you
I,
know why?
I'm jumping in there.
Because she was too busy having Charles chase around his phone because she would not give it back to him.
Well, and I even wonder if that ever even happened.
Exactly.
I mean, I was thinking about how um, I watched the podcast from Adam, and he talks about how when he and Charles were talking, I can't remember if it came out in the trial, but basically he suggested that Charles put his phone on a counter and push record. So I wonder if Charles walked in the house, pushed record, set his phone on the counter, and if any of it got recorded. And of
Mm.
course, Lori would have deleted it because she had the phone. But
But
that's
that makes sense why she wanted the phone.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that is something that I have wondered all along. Was there a recording, number one? Number two, did he even come after her for the phone? Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah.
The whole thing is hogwash.
Yeah.
And then I also have considered what Larry Cox's suggestion that Lori is the one who did the second shot. And I think it's interesting that she brings up this, did you test me for gun residue? It's almost like she's telling on herself.
Yeah. But you know what? I think she was coached to ask the same question
Oh,
to
yeah.
all of her
Oh, yeah.
witnesses.
She had nothing else. Yeah.
Did you see me do that? And of course they're going to say no.
No. Yeah.
What else can they
This is
say?
a circumstantial case.
Yeah.
And no one is trying to say that I witnessed it. No one.
But I love what Kay said.
Oh,
No, I didn't, but I've seen plenty of evidence that shows that you
like,
did.
okay,
And you know what?
Mark.
It was interesting to see how this confident person that she was roasting other people, when Kay said that, it shut her up and she sat down.
Sat down.
It's like she
And I-
put her tail between her
oh
legs
yeah,
and
I heard she
sat
was
down.
shaking. She was shaking during.
Yes, and she was humbled really quick. And I was telling another guy, Joe Schmo, that's
Oh yeah,
another I love Joe Schmo. I was telling him, you know what? The best thing about this whole thing is that now she can go back to Pocatello knowing what Kay said, and she did not get the best of her like she tried to do with the others. Kay did not back down,
I am
but
so
she
proud of
can.
Kay. I'm so
Yes.
proud of
I
her.
was like, yes.
What was
But
what was the most, I know we're almost out of time. What was the
yeah.
most intriguing um interview that you saw, or like testimony that you saw while you were in court?
Um, just the part about how she had all these phones, how Trina brought up that she had all these phones, and yet she did not dial 911, and how they waited so long.
How do you
And
justify that? How could any juror, just that piece of evidence alone, how would you not? I mean, I think about the Casey Anthony thing, and it felt like there was overwhelming evidence on her, and yet the jurors came back, not enough evidence, not guilty, whatever.
yeah,
That's possible that that could happen here.
I'm sure hoping not.
Yeah,
But you know what? Either way, she's going back to prison anyway.
going back to
So
prison.
really, I think she
Yeah,
thinks in her mind she had nothing to lose. And
yeah.
so she just wanted to find out through these witnesses, or these civilian witnesses, that some of them that she knew, and especially Nate Eaton. I have to say it, this is my own opinion, but I think she wanted to get Eaton up there because she wanted revenge on him,
Oh,
because he's the one that was chasing her down in Hawaii and
100%.
recorded it.
She
He
never
discovered where
forgets.
she was.
Yeah, she never forgets who she considers people who slight her. I think
Yes,
it's interesting that she kept on bringing up about the lady across the street who was, like, what's going on? And she's like, hi, neighbor, whatever. She
yeah,
just kept coming after that person. She, like, anybody who she perceives as a slight, they pay a price.
yes,
She has to
yes,
figure out how to make you pay a price, which is why she wanted Adam on
yeah.
her defense thing so she could make him pay a price. His son, Zach, all of that.
Yes,
My
it
last
was all a circus show, and it was all a self-motivated ego thing for her. But what she didn't realize is she made herself look bad
oh, yeah.
by she could not control her emotions. And I'm hoping that the jurors see that.
Yeah.
Not only was she the biggest hypocrite, pointing fingers at Nancy Joe,
Yeah.
that finally came out all the information with her antics with Chad.
Yeah.
And so I'm hoping that the jurors really look at this, and all I can say is they're just going to have their minds blown when they look into it afterwards. And
Oh,
I hope they can look back and say, we made the right decision.
okay. I have two questions left, and then I know we're out of time. Number one, do you think Lori is going to testify in her own defense? And number two, how long do you think it'll take the jurors to make a decision? Those are my last two questions.
I think in a way, given Lori the way she is, I think she would testify just for the show, just to be up there. But maybe she's felt like she's had show enough. And maybe her lawyers are telling her not to. It would be not beneficial for her and it might hang her more.
Mhm.
But I know deep inside, she's probably feeling the urge to really get up there and want to do that. Because even when she was doing podcasts, she was hogging the chat. She was the one talking. She liked being in the spotlight. So in a way, even if they say no and she doesn't choose that, I know inside she's wanting to get up there and talk and say her piece the way that she wants to, because in her mind she knows better than everybody else.
Oh yeah.
She knew better than her lawyers in Idaho, and she just even said that she said she wants to say what she wants to say.
Yeah,
And so I think that she'll have a great big urge to do that.
I agree.
So, yeah.
How long do you think it'll take the jury to come up with a verdict?
I think this is a very quick trial, and I don't think it'll take that long. I think I have faith in them that they will do what needs to be done. And I don't think it'll be too long because
I
this
think their
whole thing,
decision's already made.
yeah, I think in a lot of their minds, I think if anything, the evidence and the text messages are very clear. That is the most evidence, damning evidence for her is the text messages and the things like that.
Well, and I think her opening statement where she goes on and on about it will be proven, evidence will show or whatever.
Evidence has shown, and it's like
None of
in
it.
the FOIA docs, how is evidence even shown some of
Yeah.
those things?
Well,
And
and
all she was doing was asking questions
yeah.
to the witnesses. She wasn't even asking questions that would help defend her. It
No,
was just she would make a good interrogator
yeah.
because that's all she was doing.
She was fishing,
So
fishing. That's all.
that's all it was.
Well,
Lori,
I just
Lori,
want
the $2 million
the $2 million
fisher,
woman, the
the
two,
$2 million goddess.
yeah.
So
You think she's bionic woman, the $2 million woman. Thank you so
yeah,
much. I know this is just a little sliver of time. I'd love to talk for hours.
I know that'd be great.
So much we could go over with Lori and all the ins and outs, but I appreciate you for popping on with me, and
Sure.
we will talk again after verdict. How about that?
Sounds good. Let's do it.
Okay. Thank you so much.
All right, you're welcome. We'll see
See
you.
you later. Bye.
All right.